It's a Jim Beam Wild Wednesday on the Fan, and we've got your chance to get tickets to see the Wild take on the Vancouver Canucks on December 3rd. Be caller 11 right now and win your way in with a pair of tickets. Call 800-320-5326.
Wild Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Couple 13-14 pastime common. That's Phil and Fuller. Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line, also called the what? The Holla Hotline.
Yeah.
Deuce is here.
How about that?
He had nothing to do. He's gainfully unemployed.
That is correct. Nowhere to be.
Nowhere to be. And I'm big on nepotism. I love Bronny getting an opportunity to play with his dad.
Right.
I love the opportunity of my son to be on the radio with me. And then, of course, that's the legendary Mark Rosen.
Is there the equivalent of the G League in radio that you could reassign Deuce to?
This is the G League.
Oh, this is the G League.
You listen to my show, you worked with me for long.
No, this is true.
This is more G League.
I wish I could get that Bronny-style nepotism and probably get some $1 million deals out of it.
He's
But
got a pretty, yeah.
my compensation package for this is none.
Yeah, it's
Nothing.
not much. Do you think your performance warrants any pay, though? That's the thing.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, there is that. Well, you were at the game last night. What happened? I did not watch it.
Oh, shocking. You never watch.
It's because you know do you know why I don't watch? Because I get too nervous. I get too nervous. So what Deuce was back in town, so I spent time talking with Deuce.
Of course you wanted to do that.
But I kept checking the scores. And we were behind almost the whole game. Then late in the game, the Wolves storm back. I think they led by as many as like 7.
Near the end of the game. Yeah.
Near the end of the game. And I thought, well, they're going to win it. After Deuce and I give each other a hard time for another 10, 15 minutes, I look back. The game's going into overtime. Yeah. And then I check the score and we lose by 5 or 7 in overtime.
Max and I were just talking about it. It's a flawed team right now. And they could have easily won it at the end. They had the lead. They let it get away. Ant missed the shot that went, in and out. Jade McDaniels, who's shooting horribly right now, missed an open 3. I wouldn't even put him on the court late in the game because he can't make those shots. And DiVincenzo got booed off the court along with the whole team when they were down by, I don't know, was it max 15, 17? I don't know what it was early in the game.
Yeah, that was bad. And as we talked about during the break, Rose, I've never, even as bad, we've obviously seen some really bad Wolves basketball. I don't recall a whole lot of times that they were audibly booed.
Yeah, DiVincenzo had just one of the sloppiest turnovers. Guys turn the ball over all the time, and sometimes the ball gets swatted away or whatever it is. Again, there's great defensive players in this league. It was idiotic pass, and I mean he was brought in here to make 3-point shots, and he doesn't have the confidence right now. So I don't know. Conley's coming back tonight. They need his steady hand, even though he hasn't been shooting the ball that well. And they made a run. Well, they always make a run, but at home you shouldn't be falling behind to Houston or any team like that by that many points. And this happened in Boston. This happened. Every team's going to make a run in the NBA. The game is almost set up that way. That teams make runs. I kind of absorbed the whole game in person for the first time and this season, and I don't know. They got some things. I don't know how they're going to straighten them out. I guess DiVincenzo, Randall is just a bull in the china shop a lot. He's very, he can play that bully ball. He can get inside and knock some shots down. But defensively, sometimes he looks like his feet are in cement. He's too late to get over to cover the guy.
My guess
There's no
is he doesn't
synergy.
like playing defense.
Yeah, I don't know if he does, Common. A lot
of guys in the league don't.
I think the bright spot last night
was Willingham.
Again, was Rob Dillingham.
Why did I say Ty Willingham?
I mean, he had the crowd eating out of his hands. I mean, they were so excited to watch him play, and he gave them a boost of energy. You could see Conley on the bench, going crazy because he's kind of his mentor right now. And he looked very comfortable out there. I mean, he made some, he's going to be taken advantage of. He made, of course, he's going to make a couple mistakes, but he makes up for it with that energy and effort that Anthony Edwards has been talking about that's been missing from this team. So, Naz Reid played well.
Finally.
Gobert had his moments.
Naz has been awful offensively.
But
for the
they're
past
just
just awful.
I mean, we realize
you can't get that out of Naz. He's making $40 million. I know we all love him, and we see, we all think
the signs and all that. Yeah,
you got to play better than that.
Well,
man.
And I know you've been harping on the whole thing. How many games are we talking about when they make an adjustment? And teams go through, they're one game under 500 right now, and they play.
You want to give them 60 games to gel?
Well, I don't know about 60, but I think that's a little exaggerated. I basically said Christmas time, but
Christmas.
It's only a month away.
We might be out of contention.
No,
we might be mathematically eliminated from the NBA playoffs.
They won't be mathematically eliminated. There's enough bad teams.
So you want to grab that 8th seed or 7th seed?
No, I don't want to. I'm just saying they're not playing any better right now to earn anything higher than that. They're just not. I mean, they may somehow maybe a magic wand, and Finch has got to figure it out. The rotation. I mean, again, the concern would be with Conley coming back tonight. What does that do to Rob Dillingham's minutes out there? Because I think they got to keep playing this kid.
Well, didn't he make some mistakes late in the game?
Yeah, he did. No, I just said that. He had a couple, but he also made some brilliant plays.
I would play him too. I would play him too.
But I mean, again, he's not the reason they won. He would have won or lost last night. But I mean, he did bring him back with that energy. So anyway, yeah, Houston's a good team. I mean, all these teams in the West are pretty good. They're 13-6 right now. So, they have a bunch of good players, good shooters. They were not a good 3-point shooting team until last night. So, anyway, not a good showing until late in the game when they pulled away. It looked like they were going to win. And that's the NBA. It's like it's like watching a horse race, and the horse that's 8 lengths behind comes here, and down the stretch they come. And here came the Wolves, and they were in the position to put them away at the end, which is really all that matters. And then they, in the words of the late great Denny Green, we let them off the hook.
I'm officially done with them, the Wolves.
When did you start with them?
Well, because when you and everybody else told me it was a great trade, hey, we had to. Well, Randall's going to be great.
Wait.
The DiVincenzo's going to give us 3 points, and we're going to pick up where we left off.
The trade was mostly made for future investments.
The future is now.
Well, I understand that when you go to Western Conference Finals. Well, I mean, you could argue that.
Cat was the heart and soul.
Well, and I also think Slow-Mo helped. Slow-Mo they missed, and people don't talk about him. His defense has been missed. Don't you think, Max? I mean,
I do think his defense and his kind of. I mean, he was a pseudo point guard off the bench. He was kind of the guy setting the table for guys off the bench. I definitely think his defense, his point guardness and leadership is missed greatly.
Yeah, you're not getting a lot out of, I mean, Gobert's in and out, and he can certainly still, play really well defensively in particular. The big disappointment, I think, overall has been McDaniels. And Josh Minus getting off the bench. My guy, Luka Garza's not playing at all. I mean, it's kind of a mishmash of players right now that they just haven't found. And I think it's affecting Edwards. We know he's got some maturing to do yet. And as brilliant a basketball player as he is, he seems kind of, I don't know how to interpret it. I mean, to articulate it any better than saying he just seems sometimes a little out of sorts from what we've seen in the past. Max, I don't know how you feel about it. He just doesn't, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but there are times I'm going, well, Edwards has got to take this game over. That's who he is. But then you remember he's still, he's as great a player as he is, and he likes to take those 3-pointers. Can't do it by himself every single night. He needs the help. Anyway.
The G League of radio? Guys, let's not kid ourselves. This is the NAIA of radio. Oh, you both find that funny, do you?
It's brilliant.
That's actually brilliant.
It's the best.
Yeah.
How can you not like it?
Your own son.
Biting the hand that feeds him.
Yeah, well, literally.
Mom makes him his protein bites for when he comes home.
God, those are good, aren't they?
Oh, peanut butter, oats, chocolate chips, a little bit of honey.
She's homemade.
Yeah,
delicious.
Homemade. Oh, yeah. She spent all night kneading dough just to get them.
Look at that.
I need
well, that was Mom and your dad. So
yes, it did difference.
Big difference.
She coddles these kids. I'm the tough love covenant.
I know, but she doesn't get to see him very often.
No,
of course she's going to.
It's empty nest.
Yeah.
You gotta
I understand.
You're all for it, aren't you?
You're ready for me to hit the road already. You probably want the house emptied out.
Matter of fact, can you get going right now back to Nebraska?
You got to go to watch a Gopher football game.
Yeah, I'll be in Madison, Wisconsin soon enough.
Yeah. We'll be doing Thanksgiving over to Uncle Al's. He's on the kiddies bandwagon. So we'll be watching kiddies play. We're going over early and watch kiddies play.
Yeah, that's the first game tomorrow.
Vikings have a new quarterback in the fold.
They do.
We'll talk about that. We broke the news yesterday. You confirmed it. Well, I actually broke it.
Well, and I remember with my no comment, I pretty much knew what was going on.
Well, and I knew from when I know
you tracked down his airplane.
The flight tracker.
All we do is break news here.
That's all we do here. I broke it. You confirmed it.
Yeah.
And Sam Darnold. No, I mean Danny Jones. Danny Dimes now a member of the Vikings. We'll come back with more Common Man program on a Thanksgiving Day Wednesday here on the Fan.
Join Corey Cove on Tuesday, December 3rd at the Lookout in Maple Grove from 7 to 9 p.m. for Coors Light, a hockey night. Watch Minnesota play Vancouver and play trivia for your chance to win a pair of sweet tickets to the hockey game on January 9th. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
As Deuce can attest to being a Lions fan, we don't have to worry about the quarterback situation in Pontiac. We got Jared Goff, front runner for MVP, or one of them. We've got Hendon Hooker waiting in the wings.
Hendon Hooker.
With the Vikings, you don't know. You got McCarthy, which the jury's still out. We've not seen him play as a pro. Right. He's been injured. Sam Darnold has certainly had his moments. He's been, I would say, I would give him a B plus for how he's played overall. He was great in September, struggled a little bit in a few games, but seems to be back on course. And now we've got Daniel Jones on the practice squad. Your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of a no-brainer for the Vikings. I mean, it certainly does feel like KOC has become the quarterback whisperer. That the I'm saying the malcontents. I mean, Daniel Jones. I mean, for a whole bunch of reasons in New York. I mean, it's turned into a garbage pit out there. But the Sam Darnolds of the world, now the Daniel Jones of the world. And there have been a lot of quarterbacks that apparently want to come and play for this guy. And I think the Jones situation, the Vikings situation was really attractive to Daniel Jones, knowing the circumstances here. He said he wanted to play for a contending team. Well, first of all, he's on the practice squad right now, and that's all he's on. And he's coming to town Friday, I think KOC said during his news conference. So he's not going to be activated probably at all. For a while, and it's possible. I mean, he could potentially end up being the backup even this year once he gets up to speed. But that's not the point at the moment. But it's more about the future when you don't have to read the tea leaves to understand that Darnold's playing for another contract. He's being paid $10 million this year. He's a free agent after this year, and he's likely put himself in a position where a lot of quarterback-starved teams are going to look at Sammy Darnold as a former number 3 overall pick and go, hey, if KOC can do that with him, It sounds like you're convinced, like a lot of others, there's no way Sam Darnold returns to the Minnesota Vikings. No way. I just think that if he takes him to the NFC Championship game and it's because it's been squarely on his shoulders, well, then you have to bring him back. If you don't, you should be first of all, fired. You have to bring him back at what price? I mean, he's going to command a lot of money. I mean, he's going to, and more probably than what the Vikings. What if he's asking for Kirk Cousins money? All of a sudden, he's asking for $30-35 million because he gets you to a Super Bowl. He's worth it. Well, yeah, but you could go that way. But knowing how this organization feels about J.J. McCarthy and how this year is now served as kind of his apprenticeship off the field, doing everything but playing the game, and we've seen every other rookie quarterback, that high draft pick in the NFL play, from Caleb Williams to Jaden Daniels to Bo Nix. I mean, we know the names. There's no reason why J.J. McCarthy won't join that group next year. So, yeah, you're right. There's a chance that Sam Darnold could come back here. But no reason why McCarthy can't join. There could be a reason he might not be that good as a pro. Well, we don't know. That's why you bring Daniel Jones in. This is why. I mean, you're bringing someone in. I don't think Sam Darnold's going to come back and want to back up J.J. McCarthy is what I'm saying. He wants and deserves if he does what he's supposed to do, and if he brings him to the promised land, hey, nice problem to have. That's all I'm saying. I just think I think to assume that Darnold is gone at the end of the year, and he very well could be because I mean, if they end up making the playoffs and he can play this, they get bounced, they'll probably go to the McCarthy route. But if he takes them deep and it's because of his play at quarterback, I think you got some tough decisions to make. Well, of course you do. Those are tough decisions that are. I'm saying you're fortunate to be in for a team that. I mean, for kind of a cast off like Sam Darnold. I mean, he's not mentioned in the same breath of any of the top quarterbacks ever I just looked at the rankings of the quarterbacks right now. I think he was 10th or something right now in the NFL, which is, you can be good enough. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. So, anything's possible. But, yeah, if the defense continues to play as well as they have for the most part, and Darnold continues to play, I think this will only serve to motivate him even more. That I think he's solely focused on, continuing just to, he's not thinking about the contract next year. He's thinking about just playing, beating Arizona this week. But I think that the Jones thing is interesting because, you can look at it and go, well, what are they getting Daniel Jones? We saw what he did to the Vikings here in the playoff game, and he dissected them, and that was the highlight of his career, and enough to maybe convince KOC that this guy's got something left. I know I can bring out more in him than anybody else. And obviously Jones he had other opportunities to go elsewhere. He's on the practice squad, and right now he on the surface would be nothing more than the backup.
Are we sure he had a lot of other opportunities?
Well, I don't know if he had a lot, but I would think he had some. If you wanted to, but when you come out and basically say, I want to play for a playoff contending team, that does limit you, and also limits the fact that all those playoff type teams, last time I looked, have probably really good starting quarterbacks, other than San Francisco. But I don't think of them as a contending team right now.
They're not now.
They're not. They've fallen off the face of the earth, and I don't think they're in any rush to replace Brock Purdy, who led him to a Super Bowl, even though he's been battling injuries right now. So yeah, there are teams out there, but I don't think he wants to go play for the Raiders. My God, why would you want to do that to your career?
Well, maybe the Radiators you got to rebuild and start somewhere. Maybe they build it around you. Don't dismiss the Radiators quite yet.
Even their head coach said, because they're playing Kansas City, he said,
boy.
Was Antonio, what's his name, Pierce?
Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, he said, we're playing the best team in the football against the worst team in football. That's us.
He
actually said that today.
Wow. Well, at least he's being honest.
Well, how many coaches come out and say that? But, the Raiders organization... Maybe
he's saying that. He already told the guys in the locker room, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, okay.
No, he said, look, I'm going to call us the worst. We're going to... It's called a mind game with Kansas City. Get them to start thinking, these guys don't even believe in themselves. We don't even have to basically suit up, and then the Raiders attack.
My regret is I didn't take the Chiefs in spread spring. They're only 13-point favorites. They're going to win that game by 30.
Bet. Will you give me 30 points? I'll take over.
I'm just saying it's going to be a rout. And they got Pacheco back now, and they got, the Chiefs are getting healthier, if they even need to get healthier. And I know they've gotten by the skin of their teeth in a bunch of games, but they're bored. What does Mahomes care? It's like just going through the motions almost. They do just enough what they have to do to win, and then get back to me when the postseason starts. We'll get a first-round bye. They'll end up playing Buffalo probably for the AFC Championship, and you're on your own after that, or Baltimore. Those are clearly the best teams. And maybe the Steelers with an outside shot, but I think
write off those Houston Texans.
I am writing them off, even though I took them in spreads right now.
Yeah, what were you thinking about?
Well,
regardless of who goes to that AFC Championship game, that's going to decide who plays the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Now what do you think?
Philadelphia's going to the big game.
Well, it's probably going to come down to those two, unless Vikings spring the upset.
Be the Chiefs against Philadelphia.
That would be the most boring rematch I've ever seen.
Chiefs and the Eagles?
Yeah, I'm tired of both of those teams. It's the year of the cat, Dad.
It has to be. If it's not this year, when?
If not now, when?
Yeah, exactly. This is their window. This is it.
But knowing this Lions history...
I understand why you're naive, but I don't understand how you can have to watch it. Mark Rosen, you've watched this team enough to know.
I do, and I think of you all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, you can't fast forward to the postseason, but...
The pessimistic approach is the best way to go.
They're going to play, I don't know who in the first round. They get the first round bye, in all likelihood, unless they stub their toe along the way here, and the Vikings end up beating them in Detroit. They're going to end up with the first round bye, and then they play, I don't know, Arizona or Seattle or someone. And it's almost loser proof, right?
This text message says, don't be coy, Common. This is a good move. We don't know if getting Daniel Jones is a good move or not. Everybody you can always tell the hardcore fans, the duckies and the bunnies, the people that are drinking the Kool-Aid, because they want to believe any move the local team makes, regardless of the city, is always the right move. Daniel Jones has been basically an abject failure to this point. Doesn't mean he can't
so was
turn
Sam
it around.
Darnold. And I agree. It's not a question of saying it's a good move. It is a good move for all the reasons. Apart from, we don't know when and if he's ever going to play here. You know what I mean? That's the thing. They didn't bring Daniel Jones in here to say, you know what, you're our starting quarterback next year. No, their idea is that J.J. McCarthy's going to be the starting quarterback next year for this team.
I think the starting quarterback for the Vikings next year is going to be Sam Darnold.
All right.
To defend his big game world. He's going to be here to defend his big game world championship. If you win the big game, you cannot go, well, hey, thanks for our first ever Super Bowl trophy, our first Lombardo, but we're letting you go because it's all J.J. McCarthy's.
Well, again, it's a financial thing as well. I mean, he might be asking for $40 million if he wins the Super Bowl, and they may not have that coin.
Nicky Foles was gone right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know?
This guy. Why does this guy know more about sports?
Do you know how much money the Vikings are going to have under the cap next year? They'll have plenty of money for.
They're going to have plenty. They are going to have money. They're going to go spend it on free agents.
I'm Sam Darnold.
No.
All right, we'll see. All right. We'll take a break. Come back. One more segment to go here on the Fan.
It's a Purple Wednesday on the Fan, and we've got your tickets to see your Minnesota Vikings take on the Arizona Cardinals this Sunday. Be caller 13 right now for your chance to win a pair of tickets. Call 800-320-5326.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program, final segment of the show. Final segment of the week. We're off for Thanksgiving Day and the day after Thanksgiving. Full slate of games on the Fan tomorrow. An NFL tripleheader. All games will be on. The Fan, Lions hosting the Bears at Pontiac at the Litter Box.
11:30 kickoff, right?
Second game will be at will be the Packers and the Giants, and that'll be the Giants and the Cowboys, and that'll be followed by Packers hosting the Miami Dolphins. Then on Friday, the Gophers take on Wisconsin.
Black Friday.
Scotty.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah, what time is that? Is that a 2:30 kickoff?
No,
it's morning.
It's an 11 kickoff, and the temperature for game time 17 degrees.
Is that right? Oh,
windy. I'll be in long underwear. I'll be in Carhartts. I'll bring a ski mask, choppers, winter hat, hand warmers. But it's going to be
I'll be on my couch in a t-shirt and sweatpants. I'll have the
hot cocoa,
the fireplace on.
You'll be dozing in and out.
I'll be thinking about you out at that game.
Well, I mean, he gave me a great piece of advice, Rosie. He says, why don't you just FaceTime your friends while they're at the game, and then you can talk to them, commentate side by side.
Sit on the couch, it's just like being at the game.
It actually is. It's like it's that virtual reality type of thing. You can when you're
young and foolish. I mean, when you're young and hardy, you like going to the games and
you missed. Obviously, we had that era of football, not just with the Vikings, but the University of Minnesota. I went to plenty of games early in my life. With my dad in particular at Memorial Stadium when you sat outside on games days like that.
Oh yeah,
Hardy. Yeah, and,
I went to one Gopher game.
Bring thermoses with us.
I went to one game at Memorial Stadium. My one of my good buddies at the time, his mom was a big fan, and she had tickets. We went and saw. This is how long ago it was. It was against Ohio State. Art Schleister was the quarterback.
Oh my!
So that was the only time I ever went to Memorial for a game, and I've been to a handful.
Art Gamblin' Schleister.
I've been to a handful of games at the new stadium, but the Memorial was fun. It was
football. Yeah, I've been to Ohio State. I remember when Woody Hayes would come out, we'd have to try to do an interview with him, and he'd come out in the middle of the field, and he'd have his hat pulled all the way down. And interviewing Woody Hayes or Bobby Knight was always a treat. And Hayes would have his ball cap, that famous cap he wore all the time. It would be over the brim of it, like over his nose, and he'd never look at any of us.
Yeah.
He'd ask him a question, he'd just have his head down the whole time, and he'd mumble something, and then that was it, and he'd walk away. Same thing with Knight. He would control the interview. He'd end it when he wanted to end it, not when the reporters were out of questions.
Sure.
And Woody Hayes was the same way.
Deuce, your school won last week. They destroyed Wisconsin.
It was delicious.
At
it was
at the Coliseum. No.
At Memorial.
Memorial.
A lot of Memorial stadiums.
And
right.
And we didn't really storm the field. You just casually walked down to the field, right?
Yeah, because right away after the game, fans, like a bunch of Rube-like students like myself, just started sprinting onto the field, trying to high-five the players.
What are they celebrating?
Bowl game.
Oh, come on.
Well,
and okay, I have mixed.
They've not been to a bowl game since 2016.
He's never Nebraska.
He's never seen one.
This is a historic
Can he just have his fun? Well, yeah, but can he have his fun? He's never seen it.
There's mixed feelings because it is Nebraska, like you say, but Rosie, it ain't 1997 anymore. The Huskers have become a shell of their old selves.
I get it. But
do not have nearly the program you want.
Storied program.
Storming for a bowl game is a little bit absurd, but I'll tell you, I was having fun when I strolled down onto the field with my lovely girlfriend, Jenna.
Fine.
Took a picture on the field, and then we jaunted off.
Strolling is better than storming. It just sounds more aggressive.
Does Iowa have,
dangerous.
Are they bowl eligible? Or are they trying to get
Iowa's already bowl eligible. They got about 7 wins, I think, so far.
So this is just grudge match between the two schools,
right?
And is there a trophy game involved at all? Is this not? I don't think they have a trophy. For
no,
this one.
They have some sort of trophy. Like Nebraska and Wisconsin have the Freedom Trophy, and the Huskers. The Huskers got it back for the first time in like 10 matchups because Wisconsin had beat us 10 straight times.
No kidding.
Yeah. And Nebraska volleyball also swept the Badgers at the Bob Devaney Sports Center. So it was a delicious weekend to be a Husker.
Matty Rule, head coach at Nebraska, was quoted as saying, "This is the last time we celebrate 6 months."
I heard him say that,
Because, you know what, it's nothing but up from this point
Bob
on.
Devaney, Tom Osborne, think of the tradition of Nebraska, and you're telling me they ran on the field because they won their 6th game. Sad, really.
Wow, you better.
Well, how about when the Gophers beat Wisconsin and got the axe back?
That's different. Well, the Gophers haven't had a lot of success. Nebraska won championships.
Haven't had a lot of success. Back in the 30s, we won 3 in a row.
Bernie Bierman.
Well, still, it's a
saw him go
tradition.
To the last.
See, what you're doing here.
No, you're not.
What you're doing is you're trying to say it's okay. You go ahead and give the okay for Gophers fans to storm the field, but not Nebraska. Well, tradition. There's as rich a tradition with the It's just older.
Rosie, I promise you, if you had been to Memorial Stadium and seen the past 3 years of Nebraska football, you would be elated to watch a 6-win season.
And I'm not suggesting had the Gophers, and they came close, had defeated Penn State, they probably would have stormed the field.
Then would you have been all for it?
That's a top 5.
I'm not a big fan of that period. I just think it's getting more and more dangerous for everyone involved. You don't see it happening in pro football. I think there's too much stuff that goes on between, opposing players are still on the field, and now guys Deuce's age get real cocky and they start mouthing off to these players and this and that. And I just think you guys can. What's that?
It can turn sour.
It can. But you're not going to be able to stop it unless they absolutely prohibit it. And what are you going to do? Throw them in jail? I mean, it's pretty tough.
And now fans like to grab goalposts and try and bring them to the nearest body of water.
Right,
that's a trend that started with Tennessee. And I saw crews guarding the goalposts at Memorial Stadium, but what body of water would we bring it to? There's no water. There's no water in the state. We could throw it in Salt Creek, but it's this creek that's got about half an inch of water running in it, or maybe Holmes Lake, which by Minnesota standards, it's a drainage ditch. It's not.
It's not a lake.
You're going to the Dunkin' Donuts Bowl. You figure that will be your matchup. Dunkin' Donuts.
That's not a real bowl game, is it?
No.
I'm more of a guaranteed rate bowl kind of guy.
Oh, what?
So you're going to go to the Dunkin' Donuts Bowl, and you're going to take on Northwest Louisiana State. That should be those are two programs that don't like each other very much.
Throw the records out the window when those two teams play.
Yeah. Well, I heard. I'm watching. It's and I think it was coverage of the Nebraska game when they became bowl eligible. And then, analyst guy, he does the old bit. They always do it, right? Analyst guy does the old. You know what? The really most important thing is you get 15 more practices.
Oh,
I'm thinking to myself, and you know what? No. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's true. You do get 15 more practices. You probably do, get a little bit better. But my guess is if you polled each one of these kids individually, I mean, if you're not going to one of the big bowl games, right, or the playoff system, if you went up to them and said, "Hey, do you really want to have 15 more weeks of practice and then travel to Detroit for a
Motor City Bowl
for a game the day after Christmas at 2:30 in the afternoon?" At ESPN, most would say, "I'd rather just put the pads, turn them in." We were 6-6. I'd rather just go. I bet most of the players would rather not.
Well, the other issue we've seen, and I don't think we'll see it with the actual playoff teams, is that a lot of the NFL potential draft picks don't play in the bowl games.
Well, there was talk about Colorado. Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter, are they going to play? And Deion Sanders says, nope, we got a bowl game, this upcoming home game this week.
Expect him
it's
to
not
play.
The last time you're going to see him in a uniform. Do you actually think they're going to play in the bowl game?
I don't know.
Game?
I don't know. I think that's that's what they talk to their nil agents and the other agents to say, look, why is it worth jeopardizing
their future careers, all the earnings that they can make?
For a meaningless, that they get, I mean, obviously they got paid already, but I'm just saying, you see this happening more and more.
Right.
With the, the more of the minor bowls, anyone that's worth their salt that's going to get drafted in the NFL is not going to play in the bowl game.
I think there's a 0% chance Shadur
I would be surprised
and Travis
if they
Hunter play in the bowl game. I could be wrong, but
I thought I saw a headline that
Coach
said
Prime says they
both said they were going to play.
Well, that's again, we're speculating. That's what Coach Prime said, but I hope they do. It would certainly be worth watching when they're playing. They're both tremendous athletes.
The Badgers were ranked number 14 when the Gopher fans stormed the field and won the Axe at home for the first time in a decade. Husker stormed for beating a 5-win Wisconsin team. But it's all, what's the word I'm looking for? Perspective. That's what it is. It's like, I don't think either one's worth storming the field, but I will say this. A lot of people will poke fun at the fans that storm the field. Where are your standards and stuff?
Right.
What you don't understand, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids fans. They're just having fun.
They're having a good time.
They just think it's cool. To me, it's like anybody that would criticize the kids and then talk about standards, just like,
get off your high horse.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. It's just like they're at college, they're having fun, they want to storm the field. Yeah. Now, you're right, if it gets out of hand and people get hurt. But if you just go down there and you jump up and down, then you turn around and go home, personally don't have a...
Big deal.
Especially my freshman year after watching us lose 8 one-score games in one season. I remember that. Yeah. And so many beatdowns of other... It's just miserable. You got to be happy to storm.
Your Vikings club will host Arizona. They won 3 road games in a row. They had that road trip. They're very pleased with that, obviously. 9-2. Arizona, they're a hard team, I think, to kind of figure out because they've had several games this year where Murray's played very well. They've been crisp. They've been good. They moved the ball. They stopped. They've had some really
entertaining team.
They've had some quality wins. Didn't they just who'd they just lose to just now?
Last week.
Seattle.
Now Seattle's a pretty good club, but they only score like 6 points.
They only scored 6 points. I lost 9 points.
Their stats were Murray's stats were not good.
So again, the Cardinals, while if I'm not mistaken, I'm not following Cardinals football as closely as I once did. I think they got off to a decent start, but then it's been hit and miss the rest of the way. Again, I'm going to say the same thing I did about the Bears game. If Darnold doesn't turn the ball over and get reckless with it, which he hasn't the last 2 games, and the defense continues to play like they have, then I don't see why the Vikings shouldn't win the game on Sunday against the Cardinals. They could lose, but just like you say, don't turn the ball over and have the defense play
especially early, because the Jones fumble on Sunday against the Bears set the tone for making it that kind of a game. Had he held on the ball, the defense would have done its job. Vikings go in and score. You're already putting the Bears in a hole. They have to, and that's what they were doing so well early in the season. Remember, they were running roughshod over their opponents, including the Texans and the 49ers here. I mean, they played awfully well here, and because they jumped these teams early. And I think that's what they're looking for, obviously, on Sunday. Now they got 3 straight home games with Arizona, with the return of Kirk O'Chains the following week, and then the Bears on Monday night before it gets a little. They go to Seattle and they got the Packers at home. But yeah, I think they're going to be buoyed by the fact that they're back at home. They're not taking anything for granted, and just play a crisp game and figure out a way to. I mean, again, it's going to be, can they get the ball to JJ without the expense of forcing it into him, and that Sam Darnold isn't trying to do what he did earlier when he threw those picks. I'm anxious to see if Josh Oliver is returning this week. I know Ivan Pace is out now on injured reserve. It's hurts them a little bit, but they got some pretty good replacements. But overall, the Vikings are should be able to take care of business. Finally getting back home after winning 3 straight road games.
Here's another person that just doesn't have perspective. I don't believe. A school that had won national championships should not be storming the field against a 5-win team with a backup quarterback.
They won the national titles when I was not alive.
You weren't even born. You were not born.
None of the kids. What Deuce said is exactly right. Now, they're just having. Why do you have this? Why are you upset and annoyed that kids just want to have fun? They're enjoying the campus life. They're enjoying their football team. And plus, there's nothing else to do in Lincoln. And so,
well, there's that.
And so it's like, so you want to storm the field? It's fun.
Well,
why do people go? Oh, you shouldn't do it because of you have these reasons why you shouldn't. It's like, well, if you've won a national championship, now what if you've won 1 national championship? How about 5 national championships? 10 if you've never won any? I mean, it's like
I don't think you know the history of Tom. I wouldn't suspect you or your friends would know the history of Tom Osborne's teams at Nebraska very much.
Well, my friends and I know it really just because our football has been so poor as of late that we have to make ourselves feel better by
go back and read the record books,
cracking open the history books and watching the old grainy footage of Scott Frost and Tommy Frazier running around the field.
Oh, my. You really do know your players.
I briefly met Johnny the Jet Rogers very briefly before a game. He was just in town for Big Noon Kickoff because everyone loves Johnny Rogers.
They beat the Gophers here. What was it, 84-13 or something?
So what are you saying now?
With Johnny Rogers, I briefly met him during a Big Noon Kickoff because, he's in Lincoln. Everyone loves Johnny Rogers. So naturally, I'm sure him and a lot of the other Nebraska alum just hang out there. And I was just walking around the Big Noon Kickoff stage where they had all the commentators up, and Urban Meyer, people were making signs for Urban Meyer, come coach here. But anyways, I saw Johnny Rogers and just briefly walked up to him and shook his hand. And I just said, hey man, I've seen all the old highlights on YouTube. You're a legend. You're amazing. And he smiled and said, thank you. I appreciate it.
He loved being recognized. Johnny Rogers.
Yeah.
The legendary Johnny Rogers.
Heisman.
Yeah. Heisman in 1972. One of our 3 Heisman winners. The other 2 being, do you know them? You got any guesses? Either one of you.
Archie Griffin, the legendary Archie Griffin.
Yeah, nice try.
There was Mike Rozier.
Yep.
Was our second one, and our
not
third
Irving Fryer
was no. It was quarterback. He played early 2000s. EC, his initials. Eric Crouch.
What? He won the Heisman?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he was a Heisman Trophy winner.
Eric Crouch won the
And Ndamukong Suh should be our 4th Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
One of the best college football seasons.
You know who your 4th is going to be before his career is over?
Dylan Raiola. You were about to Dominic.
Yeah, Raiola. I was going to say his old man.
Does he think he's Patrick Mahomes or something with the headband and the?
He seems to think that, and a lot of people are like, "Hey, kid, stop imitating Patrick Mahomes. You're not at that level yet." But it's a guy who he's everyone. If you're not aspiring to be at Patrick Mahomes level, you shouldn't even bother.
He's dressing up like him.
Yeah. So it's a little bit corny, but hey. He's going to be the guy. In 2 or 3 years, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And not now because he's a true freshman, but I'm if he wants to be Patrick Mahomes, I'll let our star quarterback be Patrick Mahomes. He can do whatever he pleases.
His text message says, those poor, deprived Nebraska fans. Imagine having to watch old, grainy footage of Bruce Smith in 1936.
Wait a minute. You can fast forward to the 60s.
They did win one in 62?
Grainy footage.
They won. The Gophers had one of the best defenses in college football history. Bobby Bell, Carl Eller. I mean, they went to the Rose Bowl, and they won one Rose Bowl. That was the last time they were in the Rose Bowl.
I didn't know Eller was U of M alum.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there were very few. Murray Warmoth, just a real quick, and then we got to run. But Minnesota and Michigan State were the 2 of the few northern schools that allowed black players to come up here and play college football.
Oh, wow.
Considering the South, the South, and so Michigan State, Duffy Doherty brought a lot of black players, and Minnesota did with Carl Eller and Bobby Bell, and they had some phenomenal football players.
Right.
And that kind of broke the color barrier up here.
Absolutely.
Those were the days.
They were the first games I ever got to go see, and that was pretty impressive. I remember asking my dad, do the Gophers go to the Rose Bowl every year? They haven't been back since.
Think about it.
That was 1962, or I was like 8, 9 years old.
Famous quote from Dan Marino. Got to the Super Bowl in his second year, and he thought, God, this is going to happen every year.
This is great.
He never went back again.
No.
He thought he was going to go back year after year after year.
Right. No, he sure did.
Do you think the Bears beat the Lions?
No. It could be. I hope
dangerous, Bear.
It could be competitive. I mean, I was just telling Deuce. I enjoyed watching Caleb Williams last week. And they came back and made it beyond nerve-wracking. I think they could make it interesting, but Detroit's got way too much for them. A short week and playing at home, and
you haven't watched enough Detroit Lions football.
No, I know, and especially on Thanksgiving.
What do you think about?
I think
Dolphins at Green Bay.
I think Miami can win that game.
It's okay.
Why?
Well, they probably will win because I took Green Bay on spread swing.
I think Tua's playing. That's
the Dolphins never beat winning teams. Their record against winning teams is abysmal.
I just like this. I mean, the overall speed of that team.
And let me guess, but you don't think the Cardinals have a chance to beat the Vikings?
I think they have a chance.
Oh, okay.
I think they have a chance. Of course, they have a chance. The Vikings are 3-point favorites.
But I just like it that you're playing to your audience.
I'm not playing to my audience. Not
I think
at
the
all.
Vikings are going to win. They're going to beat this Cardinals. But I think this Packers club could lose.
The Dolphins could sneak one in, but Miami's going to have to play in
I
that
pick Green Bay
cold,
almost every week.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You're going over the river and through the woods. You're going deep into the wilderness for your Thanksgiving. You're 20 minutes. You'll be having Thanksgiving 20 minutes away from any grocery store.
Yeah.
Up in Cold Spring.
Cold Spring tomorrow, and then my way.
Hopefully you get back alive.
Cold Spring to Turks and Caicos.
Yeah, then Turks and Caicos. You're gone all.
I'll be watching. I'll be arriving. We'll be arriving just in time to be able to maybe put the game on, the Vikings Arizona game.
Deuce, I'll see you later tonight, and then we'll have Thanksgiving, and then he's headed to Madison, and then back to Lincoln.
Yeah.
Max,
Good
thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, always good to see you. That'll do it for us. Have a happy Thanksgiving, please.
Yeah, please do.
Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving. We will see you Monday at 12 noon. Big Ticket JG there next year on the Fan.
Adios, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Good night.
Good night, folks, and good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.